which shoot out an infinity of delicate needles. It has studied them so perfectly that it is even calculated with the most wondrous mathematical precision that all these needles diverge from each other at an angle of 60 degrees. Can it tell us as well the cause of this endless variety, the most exquisite forms, each of which is a most perfect geometrical figure in itself? These frozen star-like and flower-like blossoms may be, for all materialistic science knows, a shower of messages snowed by spiritual hands from the worlds above for spiritual eyes below to read. The philosophical cross, the two lines running in opposite directions, the horizontal and the perpendicular, the height and breadth which the geometrizing deity divides at the intersecting point, and which forms the magical as well as the scientific quaternary, when it is inscribed within the perfect square, is the basis of the occultist. Within its mystical precinct lies the master key, which opens the door of every science, physical as well as spiritual. It symbolizes our human existence, for the circle of life circumscribes the 4 points of the cross, which represent in succession birth, life, death, and immortality. Everything in this world is a trinity, completed by the quaternary, and every element is divisible on this same principle. Physiology can divide man ad infinitum, as physical science has divided the 4 primal and principal elements and several dozens of others. She will not succeed in changing either. Birth, life, and death will ever be a trinity, completed only at the cyclic end. Even were science to change the longed-for immortality into annihilation, it still will ever be a quaternary, for God geometrizes. The whole of the present work is a protest against such a loose way of judging the ancients. To be thoroughly competent to criticize their ideas and assure oneself whether their ideas were distinct and appropriate to the facts, one must have sifted these ideas to the very bottom. It is idle to repeat that which we have frequently said, and that which every scholar ought to know, namely, that the quintessence of their knowledge was in the hands of the priests, who never wrote them, and in those of the initiates, who, like Plato, did not dare write them. Therefore, those few speculations on the material and spiritual universes which they did put in writing could not enable posterity to judge them rightly, even had not the early Christian Vandals, the later Crusaders, and the fanatics of the Middle Ages destroyed 3 parts of that which remained of the Alexandrian library and its later schools. Professor Draper shows that the Cardinal Ximenes alone delivered to the flames in the squares of Granada 80,000 Arabic manuscripts, many of them translations of classical authors. In the Vatican libraries, whole passages in the most rare and precious treatises of the ancients were found erased and blotted out for the sake of interlining them with absurd psalmodies. Who then of those who turn away from the secret doctrine as being unphilosophical and therefore unworthy of a scientific thought has a right to say that he studied the ancients, that he is aware of all that they knew, and knowing now far more, knows also that they knew little, if anything? This secret doctrine contains the alpha and omega of universal science. Therein lies the corner, the keystone of all the ancient and modern knowledge. And alone in this unphilosophical doctrine remains buried the